if you're a Christian and you want to quit porn, you actually may not even realize this yet, but you are putting women above God. And you may not be even aware that you're doing this. And I know that you'd like to put God as the first priority, but unless you know about stuff that I'm going to talk about in this video, it may be difficult for you to understand how you are idolizing women. So the first question that I want to ask you is, what do you think about when you are bored? Whenever you don't have anything productive to do, anything to distract your mind, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? Now, for most of us, especially men who are addicted to pornography, who are compulsively masturbating, fapping, the first idea that comes to mind is actually women. And is it too far to say that the thing that is constantly on our mind, the first thing that comes to mind, is our top priority, and we care about it the most, and hence it is our God? And without even really realizing it or thinking about it, we are committing idolatry. So as you know, one of God's 10 commandments is that you should not have other gods other than him, right? It's the book of Exodus chapter 20. Thou shalt not have no other gods before me. In that book, Israelites are worshipping a golden calf, right? And so it is really easy to visualize idolatry in this sense when you are worshipping something that you can see. However, after quitting my own 10-year-old porn addiction, I understood that this sin, the sin of idolatry, is so cunning that we may not be even aware that we are committing it. We are not worshiping or praying to women, right? But our worshiping kind of manifests in our desires and actions. And you'll know if you are committing idolatry if you're constantly on dating apps, if you're constantly messaging women and following them on social media, even though you don't know them in real life. This is especially true for me. Working on your game, trying to seduce women all the time, subscribing to girls on webcams, and watching porn, fapping those without saying. Now, to be fair, it's only partially our truth. We live in a over-sexualized society, so there is actually a war happening against men. Bad people in charge of these porn sites are profiting off men's weakness. I could open any social media app, and within 5 posts, I'm pretty sure I would get a sexual cue or a provocative picture of some sort. That content, those ideas in movies, are shoved down our throats way too much. Now, even though it's not entirely our fault for falling into the trap and worshipping false gods, we have to take the responsibility for our actions and be better Christians. In my own journey, I realized that there are 2 ways that we can stop idolizing, worshipping women without really realizing it. And the first step is actually the easier one, is to just cut the stream of those thoughts entering our minds. If you still have social media apps on your phone and you go on them and you don't even gain any value from it, it's just it's there because everybody uses them, it is just an excuse to keep them in your phone. If you need to message someone, you can use the desktop version. Now, the second step is actually much harder because blocking the external stream of those thoughts is the easy part. Blocking them when they are inside and they are created by your own mind is much more difficult. So this second step has actually 2 parts. The first part is actually becoming aware of the thoughts and desires of your soul. For that to happen, you can't just expect to change nothing in your life and be enlightened in some way. There has to be a lot of self-reflection and awareness. Even Jesus, Mark chapter 1 verse 35, very early in the morning while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went to the solitary place where he prayed. Even him, Jesus, the Son of God, had to dedicate time to block any distractions so he could connect with his Father undisturbed. And it's a little bit prideful if we think that we can circumvent this step and connect with God in some other way. Now, the second part of this inner work is actually being willing to give up those thoughts about women and idolizing them after you become aware that they are your idol right now. And it's really hard to make the sacrifice, to sacrifice the thoughts about a very pleasurable thing, but it stands in the way of what should be our true priority, which is God. And another reason why it's hard is because it used to be such a big part of our life, just sexualizing, thinking about women, girls, and stuff like that, that we are ripping such a big part of our life. But I think you'll agree that it never really satisfied or fulfilled us in the first place. So it's non-negotiable. Now, I'm not saying that there is anything wrong with loving or pursuing a woman. In fact, in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22, it said, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing." But in terms of porn addiction, at least from my experience, my ability to love while still being addicted to porn, to fapping, to lust was compromised. I couldn't love in the way that I'm supposed to, the way God intended me to love my sister. And I think that the quote that I mentioned previously about finding a good thing is often misinterpreted. I think most people take it as some sort of a insult, that we should seek or pursue women all the time, because if they don't have a partner, a soulmate, where life is incomplete. And I think that's the reason why a lot of men are addicted to porn. It's because they try to follow it, try to chase and pursue, and once they get burned, they feel unworthy, they feel like they are missing out on life, and so the only logical way for them to simulate the same experience, or at least get as close as possible to that experience, is through porn and masturbating. So it is a sad, it is a heartbreaking issue, but as the quote on my door says, we should rejoice when we face problems and obstacles, because they make our faith stronger. The problem that I found when I was in a relationship and was still addicted to porn is that I wasn't able to love properly. To be honest with you, I rushed into that relationship, and my girlfriend used to tell me I don't know what it is, but something about you just doesn't seem right. You treat me right, you say all the right things, but something feels off. And it truly was, because it was even hard for me to hold eye contact. I was so ashamed of what I was doing behind closed doors that it was hard for me to even look like her in the eyes. Also, I was forcing intimacy. It all felt so forced. And I felt it's something that I had to do. I saw it in adult movies. And the interesting part for me, people sometimes report that they got rid of their addiction once they met their a wife or whatever. But for me, it got worse. Since I didn't resolve my issue with porn with fapping, having a girlfriend would tempt me even more. And so once she would leave and I would be alone, I would still have those thoughts and lust. And I understood that trying to pursue a loving relationship once you still deal with this problem of lust and porn is like trying to build a strong skyscraper on sand. And rushing into a relationship while you still struggle with lust is only going to hurt the other person. So any man who is watching this video, I encourage them to first deal with their weakness before trying to go into a relationship. And that's it for today's video. If you want to make a spiritual, mental, and physical transformation and quit porn sustainably and for long term, you can join the free community in the description down below.